Welcome to this video on the topic of business structure. This is one of several videos on the topic. In this session we're going to talk about the matrix structure. Now, the matrix structure is a mixture of functional and product-based structures. So it's an amalgam almost. It's a running together of two sets of ideas. It's mainly adopted by organizations that are project driven. Each project is seen as a profit center. The project manager's power comes from the general managers, and the general managers report upwards. So it's mostly based on project driven exercises. It's vital that there's a smooth flow of information between the sharing departments, and this comes about because of the way in which the resources are shared and then shared initially and then separated out to the various parts. I suppose it's easiest to imagine this with a diagram, so let's have a look at a diagram. First of all, we'd start with the board of directors, the people who are ultimately responsible, and then we have various functions that we'd associate with most companies: production, research and development, marketing, administration, probably human resources, whatever, different departments. So we'd have a list of these departments all fitting underneath, and I'll put the cursor onto the screen just a moment. There. We have a project here, project 1, and this project will now be resourced, if you like, from these various central departments. So we would have production obviously coming from the production department, and R&D from the R&D department, and so on. So what we have are these inputs from the various departments. So project 1 benefits from those. And if we have a second project, we'd have the same sort of thing. So we have, back onto the screen for a second, here we go. We have these, if you like, centralized areas, centralized functions here that are shared, and then they're separated out for specific projects which are dealt with in this way. So in that sense, it's product. It's a sort of a product-based structure, and it's also it's matrix. It's matrix in the sense that it's sharing the individual departments. You can imagine within the production department, some of its output is now channeled towards project 1, some of its output is channeled towards project 2. So it's matrix in that sense. There are two lines here. There are two lines within each department. You can imagine within the R&D two teams researching and sharing information here. First one about product 1, then about product 2, but they're sharing information as well and sharing ideas, and the same with marketing. Okay, so the advantages of this type of structure: well, it allows a precise match between resources. So it takes the overall skills and resources of the business and shares them out in a more optimal fashion. The project managers are crucial. They meet the deadlines and they adhere to the budgets. So the project managers request the resources from the central departments and then go about making the product. So it's quite a flexible use of resources. The project managers call the resources when they want them, and if they don't call them, then presumably the other product manager in the other project will use them. And so there's a more flexible way of using resources. You don't have them perhaps standing idle as much. They're used in a more optimal fashion. The disadvantages, well, the allocation of resources between projects is possible. There's a possible source of conflict with the allocation of resources. There may be a time when both project managers call for resources and there aren't enough to go around. So some sort of prioritization has to take place, and that can lead to conflict. Production can stand still in one part while the other one gets the resources. So there's always an element of competition. They want the resources when they want the resources, and that might be an issue. And also monitoring and supervision across sections is difficult. It's difficult for the senior management to be able to control the two parts, because it's difficult in the sense that the information is very specific to the individual projects and may not be easily understood in the context of the overall organization. It's a bit like having two separate businesses but using centralized facilities. The structure may lead to the apportionment of more managers, thus greater cost, or to the appointment of more managers, I should say, and greater cost. That is true in the sense that the individual parts, individual businesses may require more managers to be involved, but to have a more continuous run of production, a more continuous flow of output, some of the managers may not be used optimally. It depends. Depends on the product, depends on the design locally, but it's just a point that needs to be borne in mind. It's just something that needs to be recognized, that as the structures, in our case Project 1 and Project 2, as they get bigger, more managers will be appointed, and it's a question of optimality, knowing exactly how many are required. The role and power of the project managers needs clear definition as well. There is a problem that they may start to encroach on each other's areas, and that encroachment could lead to problems, conflicts, arguments, issues, and also a waste of time and a waste of effort, and the involvement of senior management unnecessarily trying to resolve the areas. So it's a question of demarcation, working out precisely who's responsible for what within the Project 1, Project 2. And also the centralized departments, the resources flowing to each one should reflect the importance of each project within the overall business. Okay, that's all I need to say about the matrix structure. Relatively straightforward. Each project has got its own base. Each project here has got almost an autonomous existence. It shares the resources from the different departments, and that's how it works. Okay, that's all I think I need to do with this one. That concludes the video. Sorry. Thank you for watching.